What is going on there today, citizens of the Reject Nation? Welcome to the Real Rejects podcast. Greg Alba Coy Jandreau, John off-camera technician, the voice of all reason and goodness. We got a good amount to talk about today, my friend.
I'm intrigued.
Superman trailer stuff, and a little bit of Avengers Doomsday, a little bit of Daredevil Born Again, some casting that has been revealed. Ironheart responses.
Oh boy.
And just for you, Coy, we can talk a little bit more about Andor. We want to hear the Star Wars lore. Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on that. And of course, we got questions here from our patrons and from our YouTube community posts as well. Thank you guys for supporting us. And thank you for getting us on the trending page.
That was so cool.
We haven't been on the trending page in a while.
Yeah, it felt special because I'm like, wait a second, this used to happen all the time.
Yeah. We took it for granted.
Yeah, we did. We were like, big trailer. Guess we'll make that list.
And then I think there's
like a year went by, and I was like, I kind of miss it.
We haven't been on here in a while.
Are we still doing okay?
I guess we don't
Were
matter.
the trolls right? Have we slipped off?
Yeah.
Are we so dead?
Yeah.
Or whatever the kids say.
Are we not trendy?
Yeah, but I think trailer reactions are in a different place. The volume of people that do them and stuff.
Very true.
So I think it's more of a. We are changing what the channel feels like, and I think the response has been so positive that I didn't notice, but then when it happened, I noticed. I was like, it's been some time.
It's not even one of our most viewed videos this year.
Yeah.
But it's on the trending page, so it's...
I mean, the trailer did insane.
I'm happy for the trailer.
Millions in the first day. Like, I think it hit 10 million when I checked it in like 10 hours.
Yeah.
It's doing okay, that trailer.
We got a question that I really want to kick this off with from a man named Seduce in regarding to Superman. He says, would love to hear your guys' take on Superman invulnerability. I grew up in the animated Justice League show and the Superman get bruised a lot, and I think the Superman will have something similar. I think it helps sells a fight if he gets hurt, but I know haters are going to have a field day. Coy. I know you've gotten off the internet to avoid stuff, and I'm here.
To bring it back.
To bring back.
Hey, all that negativity, I'm going to tell you about it.
I just got so curious because the trailer was phenomenal to me. And when it was done, I'm like, this has to answer all concerns, or at least most, right? And so I went looking. You know how when people
I went looking. Let me stop you right there. Maybe that's the problem.
That is the problem for sure. I know. I'm contributing, but sometimes there's a common negative thing that comes up, and my mind will go, "Oh, it's just so logical of an answer. I got to provide a logical answer to this."
Oh, that's fair. I've had that moment.
Yeah, I want to do it because here's the main thing that I saw coming up. You know, when people are being positive, I'm sure we got it on the Ironheart trailer, is when we're being positive, people are like, look at them coping. I think for the haters for this, there's cope. Like, we gotta, I've been already hating. I gotta find the thing. Here's the new thing I saw so much. Why in every trailer is Superman getting beat up so much? Why is he constantly getting beat up? This was one of our top questions, so I find that really interesting. And so when I read, and this is, of course, coming from people who are like, bring back Cavill, bring back Cavill. So when I'm reading this from those guys, my mind immediately went to Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. The big Man of Steel fight in Smallville, it's like they forgot. Superman's getting his ass handed to him for so much of the fight.
For 10 years on Smallville.
Yeah, the 10 years of Smallville. But let's focus just on Cavill.
Man of Steel at Smallville.
That Smallville fight is one of my all-time favorite superhero fights. If I were to rank superhero fights, I'm not sure where I would put it, but it would definitely be on the list.
Okay.
So this is by no means a shade to that. It's that if you're going to use the bring back Cavill, because looks like Corenswet's the one who's constantly getting his ass kicked. Did you forget? He got his ass kicked so much in that movie. Zod learned his power set 20 minutes before he fights Cavill in the big finale, where he's putting up a pretty equal fight for a large chunk of it, while Clark has been able to adapt and use these powers his entire life on Earth. Let's not forget, Batman v Superman, Batman beat him. A human being beat the guy.
Yeah.
He fights Doomsday with the help of Wonder Woman and Batman, and dies. So what is the point of this thing that you're saying here? It's like, because they'll come in with their reasons, like, well, you know, Superman wasn't like a trained military man, the way how Zod and his crew were. I'm sure
he just landed on the planet, though.
I'm sure there's all these things that people will say, and I'm like, well, why don't you apply some of that defense towards, look at the people he's fighting in this trailer then, when this is like his first or second year as Superman. I'm sure there's things to it. And don't you want stakes? What is this like hyper masculinity power thing that they want? It's like they want him to be like, Lois, get over here. You know, that's kind of the vibe I get.
I think there's some like wish fulfillment a lot of people have with Superman, and not in a healthy way. I think what Superman's wish fulfillment when you're doing well mentally is about wanting to be better and kinder and treat people good. And if you had all this power, you would make the world a better place. I think when you're not well, the wish fulfillment becomes, I'm stoic, I need nothing, take care of me, I am better than you, I am without emotion or defeat. And I think that stoicism is a beautiful concept, and I think there are lessons to be taken from stoicism, but I think much like any philosophy, when you misread it, you become a dumber person. Philosophy doesn't grow the mind by default. So I think that like stoicism has become one of those things that people like misinterpret, and I think they want something like an Ubermensch, which is the you know what Superman started like very, very beginning before he was in Action Comics. There was a Superman concept of him like as an Ubermensch, all-powerful, bald dictator kind of character.
Really?
And I think that is something that people want, and they don't realize that's what they're kind of like edgelording to.
Yeah.
So I think that if you're doing something in the genre of comic books, there's fighting. And if the fighting doesn't have both people being hurt, what are you watching?
Yeah.
And so like when Superman is, you know, he gets killed by Doomsday in both the movies and the comics. In the comics, he's like, bruised, broken, swollen, dying, and like it's not like he's suddenly fighting and he's pristine and then he dies. Like he experiences trauma physically, so it doesn't make sense that he wouldn't have any sort of physical ailment. Like he is, you know, invulnerable in many ways, but that doesn't mean that if he's fighting another Kryptonian, wouldn't that be like human fighting human? Wouldn't him fighting a kaiju? That's like it's an odd thing. So I hadn't seen it because you know the internet, but it's an odd thing to attach to, and I think you're right. There is an element of like, must find, I'm happy, but no, fighting too much. He got hurt.
He get hurt too much.
There was super Band-Aids.
But that's what I love is when he gets back up.
That's the point. Like it's
him, the
human being lifting him up, man.
Him
that's
being
beautiful.
like, hey, after he's like bruised and covered in dirt, eyes up here.
Yeah.
That's what makes it inspiring, is because there is vulnerability here. That it's a guy who can get hurt, and because he can get hurt, that means there's stakes. That's why I love the Man of Steel fight. That's why I think those fights are cool, because Henry Cavill's getting his ass handed to him for so much of it, so that way when he starts to actually win, it's a rewarding moment. And here's the other thing too. I've also seen the inverse of, there's a lot of people who are now also on the hype train.
Can we talk about that side?
I would love to. That is the side I want to talk about. It's, oh my God, hey, there's a spider.
Oh,
right
like
here.
hanging. It's attached to your.
It's on the web.
But it's attached to your thermos. It's like literally
Is
like,
it?
yeah, because it. See.
Proceed carefully. This is your origin story.
Oh, this is how it happens.
This is your superhero origin story.
My uncle did die a few months ago.
From a spider? Or just unrelated? Oh, I see. Your Uncle Ben. I was so confused by that, why you brought that up, until I realized your Aunt May is raising you all alone. I think it's because it was just Mother's Day and I saw your mom. I didn't connect the orphan angle of having an Uncle Ben.
Well, look, I'm not going to kill this spider because I feel weird if I do that. So I'm just going to let it hide there for a little bit.
This is now the spider's origin story.
I will take it outside later.
We'll be able to take care of Impact Collaborative Spider Nest.
Yeah, and then I'll make sure to give this to the head of Impact Collaborative tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, you need a refill?
I got you. Nice.
Oh, we can use a mug right here.
Unrelated. I would love to talk about that side, because I do think what we wanted to do starting with this show had been shining a positive light on things.
Yeah,
and
please.
then I think we had a lot of negativity in enough episodes because of the sheer volume of it that it bled into the goals, right? Like I saw enough comments of people being like, oh, they just crap on Marvel now. But I think there is some media literacy conversation to be had around when we're concerned about something, we still want to be able to express it. But I think we made it very clear how excited we still are.
Yeah.
So like when there is negativity, I also want this show to represent like our real feelings. Like it's real rejects, not hyper positive for no reason rejects.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me though,
I think a lot of time
the goal is positivity.
I think a lot of time when we are talking about negativity stuff. A lot of times it's in defense.
Right. It's in
of
conversation of not saying that's how we feel.
Yeah. And then if sometimes we are addressing something where we are concerned about, but I like to think that the people who really trust in us know that we will want to walk out positive. No matter
I agree. We have Mission Impossible.
Yeah, that is our hope.
So for me, the Superman trailer was really cool seeing, a few things about people like, I wasn't sure before, but now I'm in. Or like, I saw my favorite one was like, I got to apologize to all the people that have been excited about this. Like just a broad sweeping, like, oh, I get what they saw now. That made me happy. I haven't been reading too much, but I do think there's a shift in tone from conversation. I had more people texting me about this trailer than the first one.
Well, I decided to go on the channels that normally thrive off like the hate, and it was cool to go to the comment boxes of those, and see like honestly, this actually worked for me. It's like, oh, you can't keep up with deleting these.
Wow.
Look at the positivity that's like coming in
here. It's leaking out.
Oh man, you just can't keep up with it. So I was really happy about that because that's the whole point of Superman. It's like watching this reflection occur. There's an art in trailers. I think the art of trailers is often overlooked. And I think from the event that we went to at WB, I loved hearing how James Gunn is very actively involved in the marketing for this. Like he's very particular about what should be shown and when. And you could see the evolution from the short little clips that they show, like the 10 to 15 second teasers that are going to tease a new thing coming out. And then watching as these trailers, I think it's very specific that they had that first trailer, which is barely any dialogue. Then you have the expanded first look. And now you have this one. And so much of how it's going is struggle.
Yeah.
And get back up, connection to humanity. It's like you're watching the evolution and the arc of that. It's like it's almost like the biggest hint to what the overall
film will feel like.
Yeah, by watching the 3 trailers. It still don't feel like it's actually spoiling. We don't know what the direct plot of the movie is.
No, and I love that. I love that we've mainly seen stuff that was in those leaked set photos. Like with all those photos they filmed outside, James Gunn is like, we knew these things would get out. And I love that the trailers have all been like, the stuff we filmed outside. Like it feels like he's cutting to outdoor filming versus indoor. Because we still haven't seen a lot of Lex.
No.
We still haven't, the set pieces we've seen are largely the ones that are outdoors, and that adds to the scope and the brightness. But we don't know what Lex's plot is. We don't know what the deal with the green glowing versus purple. Like obviously it's probably Guy Gardner fighting the purple beam, but we don't actually know what the purple beam is that Guy Gardner's even fighting outside. Like I love that the shape of the film is still a mystery.
Do you see the new look that came out today, I think, maybe, on Entertainment Weekly with Superman and Lex?
No.
I'm going to show you, and I would love to get your thoughts.
Let me know.
So here, you can just lift.
I'm going to open it.
Open it. Yeah, just open it, and then look. It'll be right there.
And, oh, that's cool. Okay, so we get like Superman, trying to get Lex to stop doing whatever he's doing. Like there's visual intimidation and a very cheeky, happy Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, not having it, not being intimidated whatsoever. And that's Lex. He's so arrogant that even a man that he knows is a god has no impact whatsoever.
That's my favorite part about it. Is like Superman is literally
so physically imposing
stature over him, god power. I've been watching this,
and he's like drinking his tea.
I've been watching the Superman animated series from the 90s again because I don't remember jack about it.
Sure,
it is a genuinely. Have you seen that show, John? Have you actually seen it?
Like scattered episodes when I was a kid.
Oh my God, it's actually a great show. I think it's kind of overlooked because Batman
was so big.
Yeah, but this to me, I'm like, I forgot like how incredible that Lex is, and so much more of what we've been seeing from Nicholas Hoult, and even this image is reminding me more of the Superman animated series Lex Luthor, kind of by a lot. I think it's a great look. There's so much going on in the background.
I was trying to zoom in. I was like, I see. It looks like Tessmacher in one of the shots, and it looks like him with like a president or something, but I can't quite.
Yeah, he's got a Luthor core mug right there,
and he's just like hee. I mean, I'm stoked, man. I think this trailer really moved me. I don't watch trailers again often. I've watched it 3 or 4 times, and I've had more people texting me about it, and it feels like it's a big conversation piece, which is really exciting when people like outside of us reach out to each other. That always feels like, oh, this is actually causing an effect. Like this is a conversation that's being had around the world.
I think Superman will change the game. The word game changer, it kind of gets thrown around a lot. So does the word peak. Very not a big fan of that word peak.
Best since Endgame.
Everything's peak. Everything's peak.
Best since Endgame is the expression. Yes.
Best since
Endgame.
There's a couple of expressions I'm tired of. I would apply this, though. I think this will be a genuine game changer. I think July is going to change the industry in a very positive swing. I think everything's going to change come July.
Hot take. I got one. I think July is when the age of comic books changes like it did with comic books.
Definitely. I agree. You got more traditional with Superman, and you got something weird with Fantastic Four.
And I think that is going to feel like when we look back on, I always consider the end of the Silver Age of comic books, which is my favorite era of comic books, which is these sweeping stories with some of the most classic artists and like these really impactful things. I consider the end of the Silver Age the death of Gwen Stacy. When Gwen Stacy dies, it changed comic books. And it's funny because like it wasn't like that month, but soon thereafter, even the comics changed sizes. Like the comic books, bags and boards, there's Silver Age bags and boards and there's Modern Age. Like the actual bag and boarding system is a different thing. Like that was the biggest change in comics, I think, is when we went from silver to bronze. And then it's tricky now because like the Modern Age is obviously the 2000s and we're not in the 2000s anymore. So like the Modern Age 90s and 2000s is now like a different bygone age, and there's like Plastic Age and lots of other weird, but like the big shift from golden to silver, golden being like, you know, your 40s, 50s comics, and then silver being like your 60s, 70s, 80s comics got a bit like more gritty, and like the Bronze Age had like more magic, but also like New York felt like as dirty and scummy, and like those elements really shifted. I feel like we're going to look at the comic era from 2008 till Endgame as a certain tone. And then we're going to see that in the transition period, there's an assessment and there's an adjustment. It's not an overnight thing, just like with Gwen Stacy. But I think we're entering a silver age of comic book movies. We had a golden age where it was like, this is new, this is exciting, all of this feels fresh, but also I know some of these characters and you can kind of like trust that a certain amount of it's going to work. And I think we're entering an age where everything has to be to a certain caliber in order to thrive, but I think that's going to make the art better. I'm not saying this age is going to be all better than the last age, but I am saying that I think we've learned from a lot of mistakes. Competition is going to be different. I think DCU is going to make MCU better. I think that DCU doing as well as I think it's going to is going to cause the MCU to have to keep up or overcome a lot of the things they've had to deal with over the last few years. And then I think other companies doing like comic adaptations, they're not going to be as in your face, but it'll be like the Road to Perdition style stuff and like the things that are coming from like independent studios. I do think there's going to be a certain quality must. I don't think movies are getting greenlit just because they're comic book movies anymore. And I think they were. And I think that we're going to see the silver age of movies in a very different tone. And I think it's going to be kind of reverent too. Like Superman looks reverent. Fantastic Four looks reverent. Not all of it's going to, but I think there is a certain like level of, I mean, there's shots in Fantastic Four that look like they're playing with interstellar scope. That feels new and special, but it's still very much in the MCU in a way. So I think we're going to enter that age with July.
I agree. These are all solid points. That's why you're the man, Coy. So you're the man. What do you guys think of the Superman trailer? Leave your thoughts down below. Appreciate the love here. Appreciate the love. All right. So let's move on to this next question that we got. We'll make this one super, super quick because I do want to talk about, we'll go with, we'll go with this one. Ruben Queros, 4859, just a guess. What movie do you all suspect that James Gunn is currently writing? He said it's something that hasn't been announced yet. It's cool that he, what do you think it is, Coy? Come on, you're DC Studios guy.
Yeah, I see all the files. I'm actually sharing a password of James Gunn so I can check his, man.
I would say Authority. I'm going to guess Authority because...
That's been announced, though.
No, but... I
thought you said that...
I think he said it's something that hasn't been announced yet. Oh, I don't know if he means by announced as in...
I went broad. I went like...
I was going from the mindset
from the ones that are
like,
greenlit. Yeah. Or whatever the term was when they announced it.
Because he normally waits.
Because they don't greenlight until they have the script, but they announce certain movies that haven't been, or whatever the terminology would be.
Well, they have Superman. They have Supergirl in production right now that's filming. Peacemaker is not a movie. The only other two I would guess are Brave and the Bold, or if it's a movie, I would guess Brave and the Bold or Authority. I don't know if he's gonna. You think would move on to a thing that hasn't been announced yet?
But that's how I read that or heard that when you just said it. That hasn't been announced. I went like, oh, then it hasn't been announced.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
I thought he meant like he hasn't been announced as
the writer.
I
could say that interpretation, but I went. I don't know. I went.
I would guess authority. What would you guess? That's not something that has been announced. I think he wants to write authority, and the fact that they're setting up authority in Superman makes a lot of sense to me.
The engineer being everywhere. I think the authority of the announced or told.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say something out of left field, like something with Constantine or
he tends to fall in love with characters when he's developing something that leads to a spin-off.
His next thing.
So I can imagine it could be even like Mr. Terrific movie.
God, I'd love that. I love that character so much.
He's really good at that. I mean, normally
I don't think Mr. Terrific's gonna be a major player in this movie.
Well, one thing we didn't bring up in the trailer reaction is that the other characters who are under corporate control, it would appear, is in Peacemaker Season 2, the trailer, Mr. Terrific is not there. So I bet Mr. Terrific
leaves that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Would help Superman. They show like the one-on-one fights he's having with Superman, and you see moments where he is teamed up with those guys. So I imagine he will defect from that, do his own thing. So I think it could be a Mr. Terrific movie.
I like that. I think that's fair play. Comic fans get that reference. I think he's got fair play written on his arm because that's his belief system. And I think that he would not want to work with the corporate anything. No. Yeah, I think that's definitely. And Eddie Gathegi, man, I think he's gonna. I'm so excited for people to see what I think Eddie Gathegi's Mr. Terrific is, like how that will be portrayed.
I'm gonna take off my belt on camera. Oh my God.
Yeah, too much.
I haven't had it's just like poking out. It's like this big thing. I keep trying to like put my shoulder over it.
I see something darker for James after Superman.
You think so?
I see. I feel like this is like a weird like 1950s threat where like I'm like a son that just came home and didn't mow the lawn, you're like, all right, kid.
I'm the Superman that these other guys want.
Yeah, this is like this strangely menacingly violent. Like, why are you threatening with? Do the chores around the farm, boy. Clark, you didn't. All right, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to go something dark. I'm going to go maybe not like a Justice League dark, but a character within that. I would love to see James handle something like Detective Chimp. I'd love to see, his using his...
Detective Chimp!
Detective Chimp.
Oh, Detective Chimp.
Yeah.
They said Detective Chin.
Golden Age hero. Literally. He's all chin.
Forget it, Bruce. It's Chinatown.
My mind went so racist, too. And I was like, oh, is it like an Asian detective that I don't know about? And I'm like, is Chin even an Asian name? Is it just because it's the first part of Chinese? Did I?
I literally thought you meant
went
like
on a trail.
I didn't even go racist. I thought you meant like someone's chin. I thought you meant like a Golden Age, like Detective Chin, and he's just got a prominent, like the tick. Wow. Well, I feel better as a person. I think something in the darker inks. He just did such brightness with Superman.
All right, cool. Love to hear it. Good question. Good question.
The question. That'd be dope.
All right, we got
Steve Ditko.
We got a few Marvel things to go through now. A few Marvel things. Coy, did you hear about Daredevil Born Again Season 2?
I did, unfortunately, the day after we spoke.
Emma Dobson, 8107. Thoughts on Kristen Ritter being confirmed for Born Again Season 2. It's one of those things that we had a strong inkling it would happen. It's not the same level as this, but it's kind of like Spider-Man No Way Home when you're like, I'm pretty sure they're in it.
Yeah.
But you don't want to know for sure until you watch the damn thing, right?
That's exactly that.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And I feel like that's the Jessica Jones feeling I have right now, because we thought she would appear in Season 1, and she didn't. Good call based off how Season 1 went. We both feel Season 2 will be much better, more focused.
Yeah.
I love the look of the new suit. Wasn't bothered that they revealed that. That's a good speculation and something to look forward to
also
in action.
Good press. I think it's smart press, the suit.
I think it's smart press. I need to put this belt down. The other thing that but I think with Jessica Jones, though, especially there was like that clip on the Michael Rosenbaum podcast going around like, I haven't been and I believed her. Yeah. I believe she hadn't been
werewolfing, man.
She was doing it well.
I love it.
It was at the point I'm like, oh, maybe I guess not, because it doesn't even seem like they allude to other characters in the MCU like swordsmen, but they don't allude to these other street heroes like the Defenders.
And we said I need an army. That would have been where I thought they'd pop up right at the end as a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So when they weren't there, I was like, maybe not.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because it felt like the moment.
And I want Defenders to be redone. I want it to get the respect that I feel like it deserves and the attention that it deserves. Defenders season 1 was not beloved when it came out. There's more Defenders for the Defenders. But I will never forget the backlash that it received and the disappointment, and no one even really acknowledges it. So I would like it to be redone. I just wish this news wasn't given to us. What do you think her role? You think it'll be like a 1-episode thing?
No, I think it'll be a couple. The fact they announced her in the upfronts makes me feel like it's a big part of the show, and they'll probably need to start showing her. She'll probably start appearing in like the outdoor photography.
Yeah, she looks the exact same.
I think it's crazy. She just wrote a book, and like she was doing like a press tour, and I kept seeing like people in line to meet her, and I was like, that's just Kristen Ritter. 10 years hasn't changed. She's so tall.
Then that is a character too that a lot of people were introduced through that,
which is amazing.
A lot of people,
Alias is not a common comic book.
No,
like, it's not one that people just pick up.
Actually, I think from all the Defenders, and including Punisher in the Netflix world, she was the only one who was the least. She's the one who was the least known. Like Luke Cage,
I agree.
Pierced the zeitgeist. We've heard 100%. Iron Fist, Daredevil, of course, Punisher, of course. But her
Jessica Jones, I would think. I think Iron Fist is next most unknown, but even through Heroes for Hire with Luke Cage, people knew him.
Yeah, definitely.
Like Luke Cage is literally what Nicolas Cage named himself after.
I feel like the word Iron Fist you've probably heard in some capacity.
Whereas Jessica Jones, like, who?
Image. Yeah,
is that just a lady's name?
Yeah, exactly. So I love that she is like Charlie Cox for Daredevil for a lot of people, but even more so
because it's singular.
Exactly, and she's so good.
She's incredible, and that show season 1 and 3 are great.
I like 3 more than 2. I have my issues with 3 still.
One is still the best.
I don't remember my issues.
It's definitely 1.
I remember
3,
I
2.
had issues.
But 1 is exceptional. 3 is pretty great. But like Jessica Jones, I think is one of the strongest of the shows. Season 1, like that is one of the strongest of the
Brave
Netflix
show, man. Yeah, that was cool.
Kilgrave's an incredible villain. Like doesn't get brought up in those conversations enough of great MCU villain or Marvel villains.
It's funny enough, like he got onto the map with a lot of people because he's he's a lot of people's favorite Doctor from Doctor Who.
So it's smart to do the inversion, man.
But I had not seen Doctor Who at that time, so my association was only Kilgrave.
Yeah,
and it was terrifying to me.
Yeah, he's just a guy. Like, so to me, David Tennant is Kilgrave because I haven't seen Doctor Who, but he was like a guy that I saw at cons a lot. Like, so he was like a guy I talked to casually as a person. Yeah. So when he was Kilgrave, I'm like, that guy's so nice in regular life. Like, it was so chilling because of how nice David is in life.
In fact, his performance is so good as Kilgrave that by the time I got to Doctor Who,
it was harder. It
was difficult for me to accept the benevolent doctor,
jubilant guy.
Yeah, it was. I had a hard time working my head around it because I felt like, no, there's something creepy about this guy.
There must be something wrong.
There's something sinister about this guy.
Purple man.
Like, there's a little darkness to the doctor, but not villainous.
Yeah.
And I kept feeling like, there's something like perverted.
When's the shoe gonna drop?
It took me a while to realize there was like Kilgrave bleed over.
Yeah, just your own mind.
Yeah.
But I think Jessica Jones is going to be appearing like more than Punisher did, for example.
I just hope they don't turn it into a cameo fest or a Defender season of television, but more set us up
to get there.
Yeah,
I'd love that.
I mean, Mike Coulter getting a chance to come back. He had the show Evil, which was like really loved. So Michael Coulter hasn't been out of work. Finn Jones, I haven't seen anything on.
No, he just did a Comic-Con with Jessica Henwick and was like, "We'll come back." Like it was the two of them on like a panel together, and someone asked, and
give
they were
him
like,
a second shot.
We've talked about it.
Yeah,
I think Chidori Harikoker said when asked if Luke Cage was coming back, like I wouldn't tell you anyway, and like a shot of him drinking coffee. So I think there's a chance.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, are you excited about the return of Jessica Jones? Who's the one you want next to come back? Leave your thoughts down below.
Do you want to know my real first thought when they announced it?
What?
That I literally, as soon as I read it, I went, I can't wait till I'm retired in like 30 years and can watch stuff and be surprised again. Like I actually thought about like when I'm done, because I'm probably going to do a version of this the rest of my life, so I'll always have to be somewhat plugged in. And my very first thought was like, it's going to be nice when I'm like an old man on a lazy boy going like, the TV, like whatever that looks like. But like, I know that's the job, is to get through this stuff, but it is a shame that the nature of the film and TV industry is such that we have to reveal as much as we do in this current climate. It's not as healthy. Art doesn't get to exist.
I mean, you said perfectly. Can't elaborate further. It's perfectly said. Does kind of ruin some of the magic.
It really does. We see a lot behind the veil. I've met the wizard too many times.
Well, that's that for Born Again Season 2. RDJ has been posting stuff.
Saw a picture of him with
so I got
Jeremy's book.
I got 2 photos here. the one photo with him flexing, holding Jeremy's book with an interesting new haircut.
Great physique.
And there's a Doom image on the back that says, "Do not knock, trust yourself," him having fun. And then he posted another image. When is this one up today? And have you seen it?
Not today's.
I mean, he's not in it, but here, you can look at it. Take it. We need 2 laptops.
Doom. He's reading. This is a great book. The Jonathan Hickman Dune's fantastic. It opens with an MF Doom quote.
Cool.
The first page is honoring MF Doom because it's the first comic printed since Doom passed away. This is an exceptional. If they're doing anything close to this Doom comic, I would be much more excited. That I would say the Secret Wars that everyone thinks of now is the modern one, but I like the original a lot. I think the original slept on because of how good the modern one is.
Do you prefer original?
Yeah.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
I never read original.
It's a little bit of the time. It's definitely a little cheesy, but the impact it had, I mean, it's why Venom exists. Like the black suit comes from Secret Wars.
That's right. Yeah.
So much iconic imagery of like Hulk holding up a whole mountain to save all the heroes. Like there's so many cool moments. And it was one of the first events I read as a kid. So I can't shake the fact that I was like, wait a second, they can do this? Like Secret Wars felt like a unbelievable movie on page even then. So the new one's awesome. But like the first one is like one of my first events.
Well, what do you think about this?
This, if they're doing anything like this Doom comic, it involves time and universe manipulation, and it's a truly great story of why we should fear Doom, and it's really contained. This gives me a lot of hope, to be honest. Like this is the, even more than like a Secret Wars #8, this being on his ADR booth or what, it looks like he's doing audio. This is an audio booth. It says Dr. Doom on the back, but this actual stand is when you read lines for ADR and looping.
Yeah.
If this is what he's pulling from, my hope just went from peak concern to like casual curiosity.
Yeah.
Great book.
Can I share with you what has turned around me to be more hopeful?
His haircut.
Yeah. I haven't seen Tropic Thunder since the theaters, and
it's good.
Reaction going up tomorrow from today, and from when this is uploaded, and watching that, it was crazy because I mean the joke he's in blackface, but I can't hear him.
The performance is astounding.
RDJ has a very particular rhythm and cadence that still I think exists in Sherlock Holmes. From my recollection.
Yeah.
I want to react to that again.
Even.
Yeah. Or even in Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it exists. Whereas he completely does not have that in Tropic Thunder.
And that's the same year he filmed Iron Man.
It's unrecognizable and beyond look, because when I was looking for thumbnails to create the thumbnail, I would find screenshots. I'm like, oh, I really see him now because I'm doing stills.
Yeah.
And I could see him. But when I'm watching the movie, I can't see him.
Yeah.
Unrecognizable. Brilliant. And I love that there's a different rhythm in his voice as well. And I keep pointing that out because I think when a man like him is at his stature, he needs challenge. He needs something that can feel like he can keep proving himself. This is one of our things that we have discussed is like, it seems like he just maybe took this on for the paycheck. Very well could be. Very well could be. Or he really felt like he could challenge himself here because the guy's not dumb. He's not blind to the reality that people would be like, why? He has to know that there would be some concern in Backlash, that people would have a hard time seeing him as just Doom. They would want to only see Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
I find it very hard to believe that he would be completely oblivious to all this and that he could just cash it in.
Certainly not.
And my point with that is, when he is the kind of guy who was willing to challenge himself to that degree, I think he's going to bring something very different and unique, which weirdly going to Tropic Thunder, out of all of his performances, going to that is the thing that made me go, I actually am very much looking forward to. This is the performance alone. Yes, we've gotten like explanations dished our way of, the MCU skips over villains all the time, and Thanos. I'm like, I can't help but feel like Doctor Doom is very different than a lot of the other villains that they have. Yes, we could have gotten more of Ronan the Destroyer or whatever the hell. I'm just naming some random villain.
You're right, though. That's not an impactful. I mean, he's important to Jason. But Ronan the Accuser.
Sorry, what did I say? Destroyer? Drax is the Destroyer. Ronan the Accuser.
Come on, blank the blank, Greg.
But my point is that I suddenly have a new anticipation for solely the performance. And maybe, we'll still feel like the missing elements of not the story stuff that we would, of course, wanted to build up to, yada, yada, yada. We've beaten that point to death. But at this point, it's like, I've gotten a lot of my concerns set, and there's only so much more I can say until we get like a trailer even. So right now, I want to focus on the thing I'm most looking forward to, and I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how he makes us not see him.
Okay, so my side, I'm still reluctant. I'm not, of course, like I am still on the side of it shouldn't be. I hear all your points, and I've felt those things as the reason my curiosity is I want to be proven wrong. I think Kirk Lazarus as Dr. Doom's a great idea. But I would, my problem is it felt like a sensationalized soundbite moment, which it still does. My only concern, even if Downey can do the performance he did in Tropic Thunder, it's still at cost of Dr. Doom's integrity. Like, even if it's the best performance, like Dr. Doom as a character means so much to me that he's going to have to do a Tropic Thunder level performance and convince me that he's an imposing figure when he's my height and size. And also convince an entire world of people that want to see an Iron Man type role that this is going to be better served for it. So there's enough working against him. I'm still going like, I'm there to be proven wrong, but even if it's his best performance to date, which I have no doubt he could do, if he brings an Oppenheimer intensity to a transformative level of Kirk Lazarus meets the charm and everything he's been able to bring up malevolently, I'm intrigued, but Dr. Doom is too important to gamble with until I see it. Until I go, okay, disproven, I'm still going, yeah, but Dr. Doom's too important to make this gamble for me.
I don't know. I agree with you. I do. I'm just more at the point like, well, it's happening. It's going to happen.
Oh, and I get it.
Might as well get on the acceptance train that it's coming out.
First trailer is going to, like, the first time we see him is going to break the internet for like that moment. But you don't pay someone $90 million to wear a mask the whole time. Like, there are elements that are a problem for the character.
I don't know why my mind keeps going to this other specific movie. And maybe as I talk about it, I'll figure it out. Benedict Cumberbatch in Star Trek Into Darkness. The reason I'm going there is because there was a lot of hate for not just that movie, but the fact that he was playing Khan in that film.
But no, it wasn't until it was.
And I love his performance in that movie. And yes, like Khan is one of the greatest Star Trek villains ever for a guy who's like a very casual Star Trek viewer. One of the things we want to do, we're considering reacting to all the movies. And I wonder if it would get confusing because we're not watching the shows.
I've never seen most of the movies. I think I've seen like 3.
Yeah.
And I was a child. Yeah. And I've seen Into Darkness a lot, but that's it.
I don't remember Wrath of Khan at all. And that's like the most
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh, I remember that being surprisingly really engaging.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point with that is I don't know if more love has come around for Benedict Cumberbatch. That was also my introduction to Benedict Cumberbatch too. Was that movie is him as the villain.
Sherlock for me.
And there's something. Yeah, he was popular during Sherlock, but I hadn't seen it yet.
Cool.
But my point with that is like when I'm thinking about his scenes with him squaring off against Kirk at the end, I don't know why I keep likening my love for that to what I imagine RDJ might be able to pull off with this. It would still like his performance could be so good that it could still have such a cool impact that I kind of wanted to just like suck at the teat of that.
I love that you're hopeful because but Benedict Cumberbatch didn't play an iconic Star Trek role in the first one and then come back in the second one. Like it's just a different thing of
oh, totally, man. That's why I love the challenge. So,
yeah, I'm very excited, and I love Robert Downey Jr. That was one of the things we talked about a lot in the Diary episode I did. Is like the characters he plays, I always feel seen. The man he is, I feel like a connection to his interviews and like his like I think what's I think what's interesting about actors for me isn't the things that make them necessarily good or bad at their craft. It's the things that make them weird people that I connect to and I feel less weird. And Robert Downey Jr.'s eccentricities often line up with the stuff I feel like I try not to show regular people. So like he's got like certain things he likes to wear, and he's got like certain ideals of how he likes to communicate, and he's got certain like little ticks and you know, sarcasms and stuff. And it's the things, none of those things necessarily tie into his performances. It's the person and the stuff that's left of center that makes me connect to the actor, that makes me want to watch their performances. So this feels like I'm excited for Downey Jr. in the MCU, but Doctor Doom is such an important character that I'm at odds about my comic fandom, the character love, and me not feeling like I'm being inauthentic and saying like, it's worth the risk. It's not worth the risk, but I'm still going to be there day one to be excited to be wrong.
What I'm not looking forward to,
I'm gambling.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with you. And what I'm not looking forward to is I like treasuring when I think of Robert Downey Jr. associating that to Iron Man. I love that feeling, you know? Like, to me, Iron Man 1 was one of the most magical theater experiences. I
still one of my favorite Marvel movies.
Still, yeah, I think it's a brilliant film, and I love being in the theaters watching that. And I had very vague knowledge of, the guy who was like drug addiction struggles, and but I didn't have this like rooting for Robert Downey Jr. thing in my system, or thinking like, oh, this is a bad idea. So when I watched that, I was blown away, and there's a reason why the MCU is so successful, and a large part of that is due to that one movie and his performance. And I like associating RDJ to that, and I kind of don't want to lose that association.
How clean it is. It's singular.
Yeah. That's it. But hey,
still ready for next year.
RDJ, baby. I need to log back into my computer. Let's move on to the next one, please. Guys, leave your thoughts down below. Tell me why Coy is a hater now that he's with DC.
He didn't articulate a point. He just said he hated it, so he's hater.
I like to just like I like to just discern a couple of things.
Oh, yeah.
Coy. Tori Harry.
Okay.
Jerry. What do you think about Ironheart's marketing or lack thereof until recently? Okay, so for you guys how long ago did they film this, roughly? What's your rough idea? 5 years?
5 years ago. 4 or 5.
Okay, so they filmed, John, can you find that info, roughly?
I'm on it.
I hear him hacking. I actually looked over because it was like that was such a moment, like the glow of the computer on his face. Yeah. This guy's
Principal photography for the miniseries began on June 2nd, 2022.
Yeah.
Also in Chicago, late May 2022. Main filming wrapped in early November. Additional photography in February to April 2024.
So 3 years ago, the core of it.
I know enough industry people, like real industry people. I won't name drop anyone. And I bet they wouldn't want me to, especially with one of us, is that when I think about some of the backlash that this has gotten, one thing I know that is circulating right now, and weirdly, I feel like because of Sinners, people, I think Hollywood studio people are kind of in like, what do we do now? Is the DEI thing, right? That talking point of DEI. There is some studios who are definitely at a shift of like, we are not going to do DEI anymore. None of this inclusion. And I know that is part of the optics around Ironheart. Not saying that is the case. A lot of the common hate that we see in terms of the character is, you know, female black Iron Man that they have done. And we don't agree with that. We've already made our points about the character and the trailer reaction. So part of why I feel like they held off on that is due to that percentage. I don't know how big. That's part of it. Secondly, and the reason I said Sinners is because Sinners is I believe, I was telling this to John, one of my phrases that I've been saying lately is when I think more specificity actually equals more universal appeal versus the opposite.
I agree. If you make something that's for everyone, it's for no one.
Exactly. When people try to go like, let's go broad and accessible for everyone, oftentimes it actually makes it less appealing. And Sinners is so specific on its voice, its culture, its references, its time. And
because it has purpose because of that. I think when you make something broad, it loses purpose.
And yeah, you can connect with it more. And so, yeah, like that conversation of like studios like algorithming, AI script generating, trying to figure it out. Like,
how do we do Ryan Coogler, but also not upset the racists? We need to be mindful of the racists. Their money cashes. We need the cash.
such a dickhead. It's like, well, if you're only doing the race thing for pandering, it's not going to work. How can you not pick up on something so obvious?
51% or so of people want the whites.
It's pretty obvious. So that's one part. The other part is it might genuinely be just a bad show. It very well could be. The fact that they've held off on it for so long, and yeah, they've had it. It's like they've had it waiting to hit the upload public button for a very long time.
A while.
And they just haven't fucking done it. Like, people saw the trailer a long time ago, and if it was a thing where they could use it to reverse the conversation around the MCU is failing or heading downhill, I think they would have done it. So the likelihood that it's only an okay show feels probable to me. I feel like it's probable. You can like throw Ryan Coogler's name in there, but he is just the producer of it.
I think if it was exceptional, I think you're right. They would have been like, we got this good one though, and they bring it out when the conversations turn sour.
Yeah.
I think if it was really bad, they would have not released it at all. Like, there's a chance they would just be like, we don't have the ability to get bad press. I think it's probably okay.
I think it's probably just okay.
I'm excited because I like the footage we've seen, but we've seen 3 minutes of it, and it's a 6 episode, 30 minutes, 3 hours. Like, so 3 minutes of 3 hours, the rest could be bad. But I like the ingredients enough and the footage enough. I'm excited, but it definitely feels like a show that is going to be a lose-lose to talk about. Because there's the people that are already saying like, oh, when this flops and everyone's like, it's because she's a woman or a racist. I guess I'm a misogynist racist. And the people that are going to like it just because it's a woman of color that'll get mad at you for saying you don't like it. And then they'll be like, ah, and I'll get the Agatha thing again. So like, no matter what, this isn't going to be fun. But I hope for Dominique Thorne. I hope for Bendis, who wrote the character. I hope for the creators on the show. I hope for Ryan Coogler. I hope it's as good as it can be, and that the people that want to be open-minded and see how it is do tune in, but the marketing hasn't supported that for those people.
Well, also Wakanda Forever, her appearance in there, it wasn't universally beloved. It really wasn't. It was real hit or miss for a lot of people, and I don't know. I'm one of the people who thought they weaved her in. Like, I think she served a purpose. There was expansion on her appearance, obviously to set her up, but being kidnapped, and then having to go save her.
And technology and Shuri, and also the fact that she was cast when we had Chadwick Boseman still with us. They did chemistry tests together. A lot of people were like, oh, they just throw her in to do the show. And I was like, except for when Chadwick was in that version of the original sequel, like they were going to be, she was already in it.
And beyond that too, the suit did not look good.
That's my biggest issue with her is when I think of the movie and I think of her, I think of like, of the CGI. And that's not a good sign. I think of her as speaking just like Bendis writes. I think of like Dominique. I think of Riri Williams highly, but Ironheart poorly.
Okay, I get what you mean.
And that's not fun because like I think that movie is really special and really unique. And a lot of the things I like about that movie have nothing to do with Ironheart. When I think about that movie, I think about the emotional weight and how much it made me feel a sense of mourning and somberness, and all those things did not connect me to that character. But when I think about the science elements of Shuri and her growth into Black Panther, and I think about MIT and the best fight, one of my favorite fights in the movie is on the bridge, that's based around Riri Williams. So that works for me. But then I think about Ironheart and then I'm like, but not visually. Like, so it's a really tricky feeling, but I don't have a strong negative. But I'm also coming from a place of love in the comics. And in the trailer, which I rewatched with my fiance last night, she hadn't seen it yet, I clocked that there's a great supporting character from the comic books that I love, who's like Riri's best friend, who's always like, you're a mess and let me help you figure this out. Like, she's that fun, supportive Genki type, and she's in the trailer, and I was like, oh, she has one line. But I was like, oh, the comic. And like, it felt like cool because it's a character I actually really like from the comic. I also clocked like a cool other, series of visual like references and things that make me feel like they're really focusing on the comic. But I don't know if that's going to be enough or matter because, as I said, the people that already think they're going to like it and the people that already think they're going to hate it, they don't need to watch the show to have their opinions. And that's what's so messy about this era we're living in is I will be accused of already liking Superman, whether I've seen it or not. And that's why I can't talk about it. Like I can, but it's not going to convince anyone otherwise. So it's kind of moot. I think there are corners of the internet that are doing reviews that have already made their review before they've seen the thing.
Yeah. And I think it's our job to do our best to focus on those who actually, instead of keep having to prove ourselves. One of the long talks I had with John on the other thing we've been filming is how I've grown to view comment boxes as its own personality, its own human being in a way. It's like, even if you had a video with only 5,000 views, it's impossible to get 5,000 people on the same page as you, unless you're a religion that enforces, that
comment them below.
But if it's an opinion, the odds of you getting 5,000 people to agree with you, the odds of getting 100 people.
I was going to go way smaller. I was going to say like 100 people is insane.
So it is weird how in the social media world or YouTube world, everyone eventually, when they start doing this, they will get the moment where they're like, I keep getting these hate comments. Everyone has to eventually contend with that.
Yeah.
And it was after we did our Fantastic Four trailer reaction when we were saying we were very nuanced. We have a lot of positives and the other negatives, and we knew exactly what people would say. Exactly what people would say. You know, like I'll give an example of something that happened with me this week. We shot our Mission Impossible Final Reckoning review several days ago, and it went up yesterday as a day. 2 days ago, Jeremy Johns put up his review. And he said, what you're going to hear a lot of most likely is, I didn't love it. I didn't love it. I liked it. And I'm like, that's exactly what I opened with. What I said. And my point is, like, I can be part of the camp too, where like, oh, my predictability statements are coming out. And after Fantastic Four, when I messaged you that night, I was like, it's weird to go through a bunch of negative comments about stuff we said and be completely unaffected by it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's just the way comment boxes work.
That's how it was
the way it is.
Our Ironheart trailer, I read some of the comments.
Me too.
And
Same thing.
I was like, oh, well, that's expected.
Predictable
it
as
didn't
shit.
actually affect me because I knew it was coming. I think when it's like personal or it's about like your integrity, those affect me. Like I that one week where someone asked like, how am I going to be able to talk about DC stuff and still be honest? And like, they weren't being malicious, but plenty of people are. And I'm like, I've always been positive. It's not like I just got positive when I started working with a company I like. Like I have always erred on the side of like, even if I don't like something, I'm going to front load positivity and then we'll talk about the stuff we're worried about. But that's been my entire, it's not new. So that's going to continue. And so it's exhausting when people, you know, I'll see comments on like Reddit that I'm not even like, you know, I don't check those corners of the internet often, but I'll see like, well, he says he likes everything and he only talks about stuff he likes and all those things. And it's hard because that feels like an integrity thing when I'm letting people know from the beginning, that's what I do. So it's like, if you want to weaponize what I do as an insult, I'm not sure your goals, but also like, feel free to not watch.
Yeah.
So like those people can also feel free to not watch.
Yeah. And, you know, if you've evolved into one of those channels that thrives off of negativity and hatred. It's like we were watching Doctor Who and John said something that I was like, damn, that is so like an efficient way to profoundly say so much of the internet.
Oh, like people who hop on the bandwagon specifically to start hating immediately.
Yeah. Like that, like as if they had an interest in this.
Yeah.
But now they're going to act like they were interested.
I've loved this fandom for 10 years / last month. And now that it's got this thing I don't like, my last 10 seasons are ruined that I will watch soon.
It's a Disney Plus show and it's so low stakes, Ironheart. It's low stakes. You know, it's big stakes for those involved because they want it to be received well and for their hard work to be seen. But it's a low stakes situation.
Did you watch This Is Us? The show?
No.
Okay.
No.
There's a fantastic actress from This Is Us in the show, and she's also got one line in the Ironheart trailer. And it really hit me that when I was watching This Is Us, she was like a young girl that gets adopted by the family, and she is like really removed. And it's kind of like when you take in someone and they don't trust you, and then when that moment happens in the arc where she starts to trust, you feel connected because it's been like a long payoff of like, oh my God, they're opening up to the family, and like this adopted kid feels like they're part of the family. This character Deja has that in This Is Us, and that whole arc really impacted me. But it was over the course of like years, and the actress that plays Deja is in Ironheart.
Cool.
And I didn't recognize her because they shot it so long ago that she looks like pre-opened up to the adoption family Deja. So watching this, I was like, that must be crazy for her because she did the biggest network show drama at the time and booked a Marvel movie. And I haven't seen her since. And she probably thought this was going to be her big break. She's got a Marvel show. Yeah. So when I look at art, I come from a place of like, why would I crap on something I can't make, you can't make, we can't make? And then the people that are making it, they didn't write it, they didn't direct it, they're doing their best. I'm always going to look for the positive for the people that watch that stuff. I'm always going to keep an eye out for that girl that I was really excited for her to get her big break. Like, that's what matters to me more than whatever the bandwagon negativity makes someone get that rush of dopamine gets.
Seth Rogen said, I'll never forget it, on the Diary of a CEO podcast.
I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, I did it years ago.
I need to check that episode.
And it's kind of fun watching because you can see Steve Arlen trying his best to like make it really serious, and Seth Rogen keeps like bringing it back to how Seth Rogen is.
Yeah,
and he said something about how if more critics knew how much hurt their words cause, they would probably not be so harsh, find different ways of approaching how to talk about stuff while still being critical.
Yeah.
And that
really
it's
your tone. It's not what you're doing for me. Yeah. Like I can give a movie a 3 on Letterboxd and, be like, that's how I felt about it. But I'm not in the comments or emailing these people being like, why did you take 2 hours from me? Yeah. And that's what it feels like when you're reading a lot of these comments is like personal.
Yeah. And the more like we get some success and meet people, it's like I have to maintain my honesty. I feel like I get more honest over time, honestly.
I agree. Like Mission Impossible 7, we both were like, I don't want to talk about bad things in Mission Impossible. We love Mission Impossible. The Mission Impossible 8, we were like, these things were flawed, but we still are glad we were here. Yeah. But we were much more open to say the negatives with 8 than 7. And that's our growth in 2 years with the comfort of that. But we still weren't coming from a malicious place. No. I'll never forget the one of my favorite. Do you remember the show, like, what was it? Spike Network? Spike. It was like the Man Show was on it. And
Spike TV.
Spike TV. Spike TV had an award show, and it was the only award show to ever honor Fight Club, obviously. Fight Club is not an awards darling. And I remember one of my favorite interviews with Brad Pitt was he was talking to like Ann Coulter, and she was like, what's your next project? And it was in like 97, 98. So like peak beautiful boy Brad Pitt, like just an angel of a man. And she's asking what he's up to, and he's like, well, I'm working on a project for underprivileged men and a little boxing club they develop in order to get through their feelings. And being like, oh my God, like that interview is so perfectly twisting what people are going to see. And then years later, the MTV or the Spike TV Awards awarded Fight Club Best Movie. Cool. And Brad Pitt, Ed Norton, and David Fincher accepted the award themselves, and they went up on stage, and their award speech was reading all the negative reviews by name.
Oh, wait, I saw that.
And calling everyone out and pointing to them. Yeah. They were in the room, and they were literally calling everyone out. And that specificity and that ability to show the people what actually happens when you say this stuff and what it actually means to read these things out loud from the people that you're speaking to, that stuck with me. And that's how I want to perceive what we do. Because so many people watch like that make this stuff.
Yeah, it's weird to grow over time and get more honest, yet also be more sensitive.
Yeah,
to
it's
like
harder.
Other people's and be more considerate.
I think it's called maturity.
Maybe.
I mean, being considerate and also being honest, I think, are 2 cornerstones of maturity that are lost in a modern society.
1000%. Well, guys, are you sick of Ironheart? Leave your thoughts down below.
Not yet out Ironheart.
All right, last topic.
Oh, can I say one more thing about Ironheart? Just because it's ironic.
Ironic heart.
Ironic heart.
What is it, Coy?
This is just nerdy.
Yeah, no, what's up?
I think it's funny that Ironheart was made into a black woman, but if you look at Iron Man and you made it into the scientific phraseology, it would be female, because Fee is iron and male.
That is for the chemistry nerds in the crowd, and I love it. Check your period. We're going to throw the periodic table up on screen so that you can find that.
That joke's just for me.
How come people didn't bitch about Rhodey? He's a black man.
Because he's been around since the 70s.
He's a black man who doesn't build shit. He's literally like, I want it.
Yeah, he's kind of, if anyone's a Mary Sue, it's like, I did war. I'm War Machine.
Yeah. Is it because
I'm a colonel who has no experience in a mech suit, but have experience warring.
Is it because he's secondary to Iron Man? Is it because he's clearly not the alpha in the dynamic?
That is a really great example. I saw people being like, why are we turning all of our legacy characters into the opposite sex? I don't see like a male Jessica Jones. And like, I think that's a great example of like, yeah, but we've already had a follow-up character that didn't have as much kickback.
Yeah.
I think honestly, like we're more racist now than loudly. I think we've always had a racism problem, always. But I think it's a louder contingent right now than necessarily like the 70s, 80s, pop culturally. Not like at a bar, but like pop culturally, I think it's a different thing.
If I were to expand on that for like 10 seconds, I think that the way internet media operates, it's now also subconsciously conditioning people for more racism. Even like some people will go, it's bringing out more of what's already there. And I would say that is definitely happening. I would also say that it's also training people to think a certain way.
And to think that's okay to say it in the first place. I think there was a time where this is very personal. I have thought a lot about raising kids in LA versus raising kids in the East Coast. Mm-hmm. My kids are going to have to deal with racism in a way that I'll never understand. And I've thought I would much rather them be around East Coast racism because it's to your face than West Coast racism, which is to your back.
Got it.
I want my kids to be able to see the knife coming instead of getting stabbed in the back. So I feel like now we're seeing people feel emboldened in a way that they would have gotten punched out for.
1000%.
And so like, I think it's a really dangerous precedent to see the tweets and the posts and all the stuff get rewarded because the next generation is going to see that as acceptable. And then it's going to be bolder and bolder and bolder to the point where it's like active violence and not a metaphorical way. So I think raising kids in a world that's this messed up, I'd rather have them be around people that they can see it coming.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's gotten worse in a pop culture way.
Sexism too.
Oh yeah. I'm just speaking to the roadie of it all. No, I think that's absolutely true.
I mean, once he started saying she, you, it is a great way to say, oh my God, that's what's wrong is they're making female stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great way to. I think it's a great way to see. I'll never like identify with anything someone has to say, and I think that's the same thing for negative people. Like I think it's a dog whistle. Like if you see someone say MCU, that's gonna embolden a lot of people to be like, they think like me. But I also think on our side, it's causing a tribalism of like, I don't care if they like 99% of what I do. If they use that unironically, we just don't like each other.
Like, look, this is not. I'm going to bring up Donald Trump, but I'm not going to bring it up in a way that's like, let's talk politics. I think that's
Home Alone too.
I think that's one of the clever ways he operates is he makes catchy insults.
Yeah, and he makes people go like, "What a cool guy!" Oh, I'm not thinking about what he actually said.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, zinger.
He's like a sloganeer.
Yeah, he's great
his
at it.
marketing's solid.
He's great at that, and a lot of the time we fail to recognize the power. We like to chalk things up to words are just words. But words have meaning, and they can play on your subconscious if you take a moment to realize it. That's why I'm not a big fan of everyone saying peak.
I've started to weaponize it back. Like I labeled my non-spoiler review for Thunderbolts, "Are we back?" And then I labeled my spoiler review, "We're so back," because half the comments are people being like, "That's a stupid phrase." And I was like, but you're driving up my comments, which is driving up my SEO. So
Genius.
like, I'm going to start putting that in all my stuff. If people can use tears on women, I can use peak and like all the language. I'll just read what Gen Z are saying.
Peak.
I think part of the thing about racism today is just that people, I think there's a wider valley between the being able to recognize and accept the things that are not intentional, but that are racist behaviors or attitudes. Everyone gets very defensive and thinks like, well, I'm not intentionally being racist. And then this argument develops in the middle of that where people can't recognize the things that maybe they need to be shown.
Yeah, sure.
And there's also the side of that where I was saying like, it's a concern of even reviewing Ironheart of people that would assume you have to like or dislike something because of that. I think nuance is lost in having conversations because of it being weaponized.
I'm glad we got to talk about that.
Female Iron Man.
We have something to get to in 1 hour and 40 minutes, and I have about 2.5 hours of a task
that
to
math
do.
ain't mathing, Greg.
So now I'm getting some anxiety because this is going on a little longer. Dead Veil, final one of the day. So I wanted Coy to speak about this because it is the week that Andor has finished. There's a lot of shit going on this week. God damn.
Big week, dude.
That's how the week started.
Yeah, you're right.
God. Now that Andor is finished and that we see a decent few of our characters made it through, would you like to see more stories told surrounding the rebellion? For example, comics or Tales-like show? Or would you rather they leave this particular era alone for now? And if so, what era story would you like to see the most? We can reinterpret this question another way because you are not Mr. Lore Guy when it comes to Star Wars. What did Andor finale do for you, and how has it made you look at the future of Star Wars?
I think this ties directly into what I was talking about, the Silver Age of comic book stuff. I don't think this did as well financially as other shows. I don't think this did as well in reactions or any of the ways that you see people able to substantiate content.
Yeah.
But I think it did more for art than content. I don't know if the bean counters are going to do more of this to the scale they should because of the critical reaction, but I know this is going to inspire people to make more like this. I don't think this is going to help us on the suit side, but I think this is going to help us inspire the next generation of Gilroys, the next generation of Nolans and Finchers. I don't think this is going to help in the next 5 years because I don't think it did well enough financially, and I think it was a very expensive show, but I think this is going to be something that a young director is going to have watched in their formative years and gone, they can make Star Wars this good. And I think that's going to inform a wave of superhero content, of sci-fi content, of genre content in general. So when I think about an IP as good as Andor, I think about the rebellion it causes against bean counters. I think about the rebellion it causes against things being made for fluff. What genre content can be, and what I got out of Andor was the ability to feel like I wanted to rebel against systems by watching people rebel in such a beautiful way. The writing was so good, the acting was so good that I actually looked at me and I went, how do I feel about the things happening in this world, and what can I do in a way that is active versus what is the passive thing I'm accepting doing? And I was inspired by speeches that were written by fictional characters about our non-fictional world.
Yeah.
Genre content should always be a Trojan horse for actual morals and ethics, and it should always be something that is telling you something important. There is no such thing as art that doesn't have a message. By the nature of its existence, it is saying something. So people that are complaining that like blank, why does everything have to be so blah, like whatever word, this is the opposite of that. It is so layered. It is full of so much. And I don't see Star Wars going down this path because I don't think they can afford it. But I do see filmmakers being inspired, and whatever this next wave of film comes up through, whatever this next creator economy is, I honestly think at least 10 directors you see at Cannes or Sundance or doing a Letterboxd interview or whatever the equivalent of that is in the mid 2030s will speak to Andor as the thing that got us there. So I think the rebellion isn't against the present, it's against the future. And I think the rebellion isn't necessarily against our world politically. I think it's against art being crushed systematically by this capitalistic society of art.
I think the way they could utilize it, those are very beautiful points. I think the way they could utilize it is if they actually make a strong push for this to get awards, for it to actually get some Emmys.
Because that makes up for the financial.
Star Wars hasn't, and studios really treasure that.
Yeah.
Because then it could also attract filmmakers
100%.
who
I love
want to
that
do
point.
stuff. Like, I'm excited for Sean Levy's Ryan Gosling Star Wars movie.
That'll make money.
But it's going to be, Sean Levy. It's probably going to be some lighthearted, good time.
It won't be Andor.
It's not going to be fucking Andor, though. Like Andor's on a whole other level. And for a show as politically charged as Andor is, it weirdly wasn't subject to woke thing or leftist ideas that are being shoved down my throat. It's still a loved show. Again, more specificity equals more universal appeal. The irony of that, and I think that if they win some awards, I think it would do wonders. This show ignited my hope for Star Wars. So John and I, we did a rewatch of Rogue One after Andor season 2. We both hadn't seen it since the theaters. and we've forgotten a pretty good amount, other than the fact like we know everyone's supposed to die, but and like Vader's in it, and it's so cool. Like it's John, that might be one of like my all-time favorite reactions. Yeah, because we haven't done anything like that or been positioned like that.
Yeah,
what they created with Andor gave us something new. It flows remarkably seamless into Rogue One. And Andor doesn't feel like Star Wars. Rogue One still feels like Star Wars, so you could see like this evolution. That's
really cool. I can't wait to rewatch it.
Into feeling like the Andor world going into Star Wars. Now, the movie definitely has like its flaws and such, but it was one of the most unique things Disney has done. Rogue One is a generally pretty loved movie, but then to do a prequel series that provides this remarkably new feeling. I can't think of a single prequel that has been done where if I watch the prequel and then watch the original, where it feels like the original now feels like a true sequel. Like look at the Star Wars movies.
Episode 1, 2, and 3 don't make me go like, oh, I'm so glad I waited to watch 4. Yeah.
A lot of people say, no, watch it in timeline order, and I don't ever recommend that to people.
If you haven't seen Star Wars, you're not going to get to 4 if you start with 1, in my opinion.
Because Andor doesn't act like, wink, we're a prequel. Look, we're a prequel.
Yeah,
they don't do that.
Thing.
They don't do that. It really feels like Rogue One feels like a sequel movie to Andor. It feels as if like Andor didn't get its 3rd season and then eventually got a movie.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. So it's remarkably seamless. And my point with that is that was all under the Disney umbrella at the end of the day. And it made me it made John and I go, we should continue watching the Star Wars movies. It got us in that vibe, that mood to keep watching the Star Wars movies. And I respect Disney for what they pulled off with that. I respect that they let the creative freedom flow. And that's my point, is like they allowed this creative freedom to flourish. They threw a lot of money at something that is very different and ambitious. The assault part of episode 3, apparently they got no pushback on doing something like that, which is kind of wild to me.
Yeah.
Which means if Disney allows that, then Disney will probably allow a Jessica Jones-like show to occur. So I feel like Andor, because when Andor season 1 came out, what I felt like was, that's a great show, freaking great. Probably the best thing they've done, but that's a one-off.
Yeah.
Like that's not really gonna. It's like, oh, I have my opinions about Disney, Star Wars, and what Star Wars has evolved into. But oh yeah, Andor exists. Sure. That's a good one. Now it feels like Andor is a part of the Star Wars narrative
with the Andor tie-in, with the Rogue One tie-in. It all feels I can't wait to rewatch it.
Yeah. It's all gone from novelty to something truly substantial.
It now feels like a leg of.
There's a novelty to Rogue One. There's a novelty to season 1 of Andor existing in isolation, and then watching season 2 complete the Andor thing it stands on its own now, and it also makes Rogue One feel more like a living experience.
With season 2, I now feel like it's like Guardians with Marvel. Like Guardians trilogy feels separate, but it feels like a part of it because of the Infinity War tie-ins and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And so like I want to rewatch Rogue One for that reason, to feel that whole leg completed.
Oh, dude, it's great. Like we watched this so close together, and it was John and I were like kind of tripping out because we both said like we've never had this feeling before.
I'm watching it Tuesday because I've been watching I'm gonna miss Andor this week, so I'm saving it for like that Tuesday feeling, like that Andor feeling. I'm gonna watch it at like 6 on Tuesday to be like my end of.
Yeah, so I love hearing. I love everything you said, and I feel like Andor did not like inspire my faith and anticipation for more Star Wars. But after Andor season 2 and then watching Rogue One, it has reinvigorated that. I've been pretty critical of the Star Wars umbrella with Disney. I'm pretty critical of that.
I think one of the lines that really hit me strongest was like every act of rebellion is a direct attack on the Empire, and the frontiers are literally every corner of the galaxy, because every single small thing you do is chipping away, because freedom is natural and order is unbelievable, and it's not meant to be that way. And that's how I feel about art right now. Mm-hmm. I feel like we've been making art wrong, and we've been doing it so wrong that it's starting to crumble, but art is natural. So every time someone makes any art, it's an act of rebellion against capitalism. And I think that there is a blend. There is a place where capitalism and art can go inside. Like, I'm not saying, oh, all capitalism bad, all art good. I'm leaning that way. But I am saying that, like, when you make anything and you get it out, it is an act of pure creativity and freedom. And that's what I feel like Andor is going to inspire. Like, those speeches to me were about much heavier things like life and death. But I really hope that inspires filmmakers to make stuff even when they're told no.
Yeah. I hope Andor influences the other fandoms. I hope I hope it influences Marvel.
Same.
In a way where like, let's go deeper.
Yeah.
Let's go deeper.
I'm
Let's
excited
get that Captain America movie that actually has a point of view.
Yeah. Let's say something with our movie with America in the title.
Yeah.
And Captain.
And that's a movie that wants to be more broad and loses the audience.
And every word in that title is ironic.
Right.
Captain America, Brave New World.
Wow.
Recycled ideas in a world that is not brave, that has nothing to say about America, and doesn't lead.
Yeah. Oh, well. Andor, did it juice you up? Leave your thoughts down below. Man, I want to watch more Star Wars. It's crazy.
And respect to Kathleen Kennedy, because tons of Tony Gilroy's comments relate directly to his conversations with her in building.
She does get the brunt of like Star Wars failed with Disney and Kathleen Kennedy needs to lose her job. I'm like, Andor's pretty great.
Yeah.
Rogue One's pretty great.
That's the thing with leadership, is that when it's bad, you get the blame, and when it's good, you forget who the leader is.
And likewise with I just spoke to Captain America: Brave New World. The problem with that one is, like you said, the broad. I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think it's a great movie, and I think the director, whenever he speaks, has passion. But I think the problem was everything outside of that.
Yeah.
And so when you're doing the broad things, the theme of this episode, like when it's so broad, it has nothing to say. Andor couldn't be more opposite.
Yeah.
Andor couldn't have more specificity. So I think that's what I hope people get out of it too.
Me too, man. Me too. I don't enjoy ending these a lot of the time. I get a feeling of like, this is like, I love
found
to
a rhythm, found a flow.
I love to feel this stuff. I love the conversation, and I love that a lot of you guys. It's cool. This is a new thing we have started, right? So it's like we don't want to compare it to like the main stuff we do, the reaction stuff, because that would be not fair to us, and that's stupid. Like we're doing like an odd thing of like we're doing a brand new thing. This will be our 16th episode.
Yeah. So it's like doing a 16th week of a reaction. Like you got to look at it to the scale of like.
Yeah. So in my mind, that the fact that we are at least getting this a consistent 30,000 to 40,000 same people who keep coming back, I'm like, that's great to me.
And
that's really great.
This is the thing people bring up to me in person most.
Yeah, me too.
So like it's impacting people enough they want to come up and talk about it versus like I get the occasional like, oh, I loved your reaction to this movie, but it's usually the biggest ones where it's like inevitably they saw it. Yeah. Specificity, which is important. People come up and they talk about this show. I had 2 people in line for Jack White come up and tell me how much they love the podcast.
Hell yeah.
So it means a lot. We really appreciate it. As long as I'm not peeing, pooping, or eating, come say what up. I've had that. Comic-Cons are weird.
A shit in the bathroom.
It happens. It's weird.
Well, we warmed up with one question, so we're going to play that for you guys in just a second. But yeah, thank you. Thank you, John.
Hey.
Thank you, Prepper, for editing this. Your turnaround is intense, and I really do appreciate the consistent quality you provide on these edits. Thank you. Everyone have a great night and enjoy this really fun, we call it a warm-up question, but I think it's actually a fun way to end it. So check it out. Question, we got one today from Kevin Meek. He's a longtime patron. I love this question. I've always been an athlete and a massive nerd. I know Greg and Coy share a love for the gym and physical fitness. One thing I used to enjoy doing to mix things up and get creative was designing workouts inspired by characters from comics or movies. I base them on their skill set, powers, physique, build, even storyline. Question, if you could create a training regimen or have one inspired by any character, who would it be?
You know what's funny is it's been 5 years, so I think it's safe. I was developing a show where I was trying to do this professionally with Marvel, and it was going to be like training like your favorite superhero with the people that train the actors, and like doing like P90X but hero versions. Nice. And I thought that'd be really fun to like travel with like a stunt coordinator and then like a fitness person and then like teach people how to move like. And I think if I was going to do one now, it would probably be. I think it'd be really fun to do a Batman or Nightwing one because the brutality.
Yeah. Which Batman?
Like Batman, like because it'd be so violent. Like I'd want to have like
which one are you talking about? Which Batman?
Like
like a generalized Batman.
Like I went with an artist like Clayman's Batman. He's so sexy.
God. Okay.
He's a gorgeous man.
I'm gonna look up Clayman
Batman. So Clayman Batman, great aesthetics, really broad shoulders, great lats, really good like deltoid definition. Is really capable as a fighter. The core is really strong. Like he's got like a nice rigidity. So I would do like a lot of like barrel training, like your trunk. And then I would want to have it to be very like shoulder focused, a lot of ability to swing.
All I'm getting is Batman Clayface.
Clayman.
Yeah, no, I'm getting.
So try Clayman artist Batman.
Clayman artist.
It's a man with two ends, if that helps.
That will help.
Clayman. And then, because Clayface is like a clay man.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a beautiful physique right there.
Yeah, is that attainable? Probably. After Alan Richardson, I feel like anything's attainable.
Yeah, I've seen freak physiques that I didn't think were possible before. Look at Ryan Reynolds in like Amityville Horror. He looks like that.
Yeah. Do you think Alan Richardson could be Batman?
I don't. I think that the problem is, and you can suspend disbelief, but if you see someone dressed like a bat that looks like Alan Richardson, and then you see Bruce Wayne, you go, well, that's Batman. Like, if someone's running around town as big as him.
You think the physique is too much of a giveaway?
Yeah. Like, it'd be like, have you ever seen the Merry Little Batman Christmas special?
Yeah.
When he has a beard, and it's like, oh, that's so funny, because you can obviously tell. Alan Richardson's the physical version of that, where it's like, well, that's Batman. Like,
well, how would you possibly get to the Batman who can be that huge?
Ben Affleck's huge. His suit is bigger than everyone else's. But when Ben Affleck puts on a suit, other people are as big. Like NFL players and stuff.
Yeah.
Alan Richardson is not a human-sized man. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like he could put... You haven't seen Reacher season 3. And I
don't doubt his skills.
Yeah.
I just don't doubt the suspension of disbelief of the human being.
He can maybe get smaller, but probably couldn't around Reacher time.
And I don't know if he'd want to.
Like
it's so hard to get that big.
Yeah, Christian Bale put his body through the ringer for doing from Machinist to Batman Begins.
Back to skinny again for something else, and then
I think it was that Rescue movie or whatever,
Rescue
or Fighter.
Dawn.
One of the, yeah,
and then also he got fat for Rescue Dawn, and then he got really fat to play Cheney. It's his body, man. What that dude's put through. So I wouldn't want Alan Richardson to go through shrinking down from 400 pounds. He's like the juggernaut.
He's massive.
He's a big boy. I'd love to see him as Colossus. I'd rather see him as something where it's of course he's that big, as opposed to
I feel like Alan Richardson, though, is an actor with more range than people give him credit for. Reacher in the first season is pretty straightforward, stoic. And then by the time he gets to his third season, there's all these different layers. And there's one moment that anyone who watches it was like, this is definitely his Batman audition. One particular monologue.
Does he say, I'm vengeance?
He literally says, I want vengeance. He ends this monologue with it.
I also think there's characters like Sabretooth that have a lot more range they haven't gotten to show, and then that would make Wolverine look smaller.
That's fair.
Cast someone big.
I forget sometimes when I'm talking to you that you have an awareness of the more range that the characters themselves actually have versus, when you say
how
Colossus.
They play him. Colossus is very one note, but he's not. He's a painter. He's a man that's worked on the farm. He's gone through communist Russia. Yeah. He's got a little sister, Ilyana Rasputin, and he's got a paternalness, protectiveness there. He's got a relationship with Kitty Pryde, and that's tricky because she was a lot younger when they met. There's a lot going on. But when people are Colossus, they're like, chick, chick.
Yeah. He's either a funny guy in Deadpool, funny buff guy, or stoic, nothing personality.
Yeah, where they pan by him painting and X-Men Colossus. There's more to the character.
That's a really solid point, and it would be a unique. I feel like if James Gunn was in charge of Marvel, we'd be doing shit like that.
I feel like Kevin Feige loves X-Men as much as James Gunn loves the underdog. So when we get to Marvel's X-Men era in the MCU, we're going to be like, oh, this is why we enjoyed this. You know what I mean?
Sure. All right. Good shit, man. I love it. Thanks for the warm-up, Kevin. Oh, and that means we're at the end of the podcast. Bye.
Bye.